Hello, welcome to Flory Models. I'm Philip Flory. Review time. This is a kit we've been after for a long old time. This is the very highly anticipated Revell completely new tool, 1/48 scale Tonka or Tornado. This is the IDS German one. We're expecting this kit to come along in various guises because quite frankly, well, we need one. History check, Airfix, don't even buy it, terrible. But certainly for the last few years, really, the Hobby Boss Tornadoes have been halfway there. Okay, and as we all know, I am by no means whatsoever a rivet counter. If it looks like something, it's good enough for me. But it did have a few little problems. Like, it was a bit unfortunate that the thruster reverser buckets at the back, sort of in the closed position, or the open position, so they're actually in working and things like that. If you wanted them without, you had to fiddle around with it. But it did give us some nice sort of insights into things, i.e. having positionable flaps and slats on it and things like that, which was a lovely little touch. Some more detail than certainly we've seen before with wheels, gear, bays, and obviously the cockpit, things like that. But we knew Revell were going to come out with something a little bit special on this and really give us a bang up to date sort of tornado. So what you've actually got here is a real bargain as well. This kit is only around about, I think the recommended retail is around about £22, something else like that. I picked this one up for 18 on the internet, so there are some bargains out there. As I said, 1/48 scale, completely new tooling. As you can see, some lovely artwork on the front. We do have to mention you only get one set of decals, but at least they're quite stunning because you get these markings in it, so absolutely lovely. So the usual thing with Revell, a few little pictures of what you're going to expect to find obviously in the inside, and this is what we're saying about the actual thrust reverser system, the buckets on the back. You've got both ways. As I said, this nice little touch with the slats and the flaps all deployed and things like that, and the speed brakes on the back and everything else. Usual thing, it's just a normal open-ended box, some blurb on it just like that, and quite frankly it's a little bit horrible because the boxes, but I did see somebody the other day actually cut it down here and then flipped it open, and at least you can use it as a box then. So you tape up the sides and you do have a type of box. And I know it's one of those little things, but actually it's quite a handy little tip. So in here, what you actually get, and I can't lie, I have looked at this before. We had our members meet on Sunday. This arrived last Friday, and I wanted to obviously show the members and everything else like it. So we've already had a little sneak peek, but nothing in depth. So, usual thing, a little bit of blurb. It's Revell's standard sort of call outs for everything. So your usual health and safety, the bits and pieces. The parts call out, so we've got all the trees lined out here and everything else, and obviously steps 1 and 2 just down here. Interesting to see this part breakdown, which we'll talk about as we make our way through the kit parts. But certainly, as you can see, it's very busy straight off the bat of getting this all in. It's a little bit in your face and cluttered, so you're going to need to take your time to actually go through this, study the instructions all first to get a rough idea, because in this kit we've got a couple of new features we haven't seen, certainly with Revell before, but in general, alright? So you just want to be looking at as this goes down. We've got the Revell normal call outs for colours and that, which is a little bit of a pain, okay? But certainly working your way through it, it's pretty much as you would expect, pretty much standard. Things that we have noticed straight off the bat here is you've got full length intakes that go all the way down to the engines, which is quite a nice touch. You don't get detailed engines, but certainly you do get the intakes, so it's quite nice because Tonkas, you're looking down into them, you can see a long way down there. Again, right the way through, so as I said, you've got lots of lumps and bumps that are going in absolutely everywhere on here. We've got the front end, as we'll talk about as well. It's a little bit complex. It's like a long belly plate, which is this guy here, and then these two halves are going to go on the front. This is where we're expecting more releases of perhaps F3 versions and obviously other versions of Tornadoes to be coming out. It's all designed for it. So going through, you've got to make your decisions quite early on exactly how this is all going to go, but some things you do get actually manoeuvrable, the actual pylons obviously for the degrees. As a modeler I don't think you use it, but it's there. You've got the usual tough cog system, if you like, for doing the wing fold. I always think it's a little bit sort of, you know, when you're a modeler you could just place them in, but I can understand the reasons why. Spine goes down. It's a nice one piece at the top, and the way the lines go, it should be minimal amount of fillers and that to go down in there. Okay, and then as I said, all these technical parts going in, depending on how you have the angles, would be depending on how you're actually going to cut in to actually having things fitted in. Quite nice detail on the engines. You can see there's a little bit of time going in on these, which is quite a nice touch. Tonkas, remember the tail sitters, so you're going to need weight. It's saying 40 grams. I normally double it just to make sure without bending the gear. Positionable rudder, and again lumps and bumps on at the back as you're going through. The tail is not positionable, which is a little bit odd because I thought it probably would have been, seeing as everything else, but I don't think it is unless I'm looking in the wrong area. Sorry, I'm just backtracking slightly to see. I didn't see a cross member, and it is a plate that goes on in there. No, I can't see anything going across the back. So I wondered if these went onto a plate that then swivels. It might do, I don't know. It's saying it doesn't. We'll have a look anyway in a moment. Again, this is where we talk about those the flaps going on there and on the back, and you've got the spoilers going in on the top. Very nice touch. I think everybody doing that. Nice to see. You've got some nice detail with these the worm gears going through there, so that's quite nice. Those spoilers on at the top or down. Air brakes obviously fitted. You can have deployed or closed. And then we've obviously got this situation for having the speed brakes, the thrust reverser buckets in the open or closed position. You've got the full option with that. Pylons going through, obviously all the way in, the gear and everything else. We'll look at those lovely decals in a minute. But as you can see, it is quite busy and quite technical with this all going together, but I'm hoping it sort of just goes in, if you know what I mean, and goes down and in there. So we're just looking around how this actually goes. Sorry, we're just wondering why it has. It's obviously just for the cockpit in the open or closed position, but I'm just wondering why it's got a little diagram of a plane here. It looks like the slats deployed. Something I have to do my homework on that one. Going me right the way through, lumps and bumps going on. You got the bowls pod going on there, and obviously you've got the side winders. Oh yes, going down. True drawing of them though. I hope they're not like that in the kit. ECM pod, the recce pod going down there, talking about the tanks obviously going on. And then this great marking system with it. So it's the using, it's 45, 44, 2008 scheme for the Tornado, which you have to say, and I will say it, the Germans absolutely do a stunning job on painting their aircraft. If you go to any of the air shows or anything, their aircraft just look absolutely fantastic. And this will be another great one. So here we go, we've got the decals, as you can see, beautifully printed. And what I love about this one, the actual carrier film is tiny. It is right up to the edge, okay? And it's nicely rounded off, so we're not going to have tearing, but you've got minimal, and I mean really minimal carrier film on everything. Everything is so close. It's literally right on the edges of anything. The only thing I'm noticing down here, we've got decals for all the instrument panels, which I don't like, okay, but looking through that, that is really, really nice. Do like that. And it's beautifully printed. It's obviously like a silkscreen printing on the back here, because it's no grittiness in this printed area. Sometimes you get a little bit of grittiness where they're done on some of the manufacturers, but these, absolutely lovely. It's one of those things, I am going to be building this kit almost straight away, starting on it probably as early as next week, but will I be doing it in those markings? Not quite sure. So anyway, moving into what is going to be a mammoth load of sprues. Hopefully we get this in the camera. So straight off the bat, looking down on here, what we can see is amazingly very, very nice detail with recessed panel lining, obviously as we'd expect, and riveting. And when I say riveting, it's proper riveting. It's not just a hole, it is a rivet. So it's a circle with a small dome in the middle of them. The only thing is, and obviously, you know, we are only paying 20 quid for this kit, the moulding is a little bit soft. It's not the crispest. We've got sink marks, but nowhere where we're worried about. But the mold hasn't been polished, okay, so it's not like a Hasegawa kit where the mold is completely polished and out everything else, so it gives you that very shiny finish, which is fine when you're doing something in flat, but when you're talking about doing things like outclads and chrome finishes and gloss work, then you're going to be in here polishing it all up before you start. Generally looking in though, the cockpit detail, as you can probably see, hopefully you can see, it's really, really nice. It's all very sharp, in fact to the point where it's really sharp. When you run your finger over it, it's all there. So again, you could either use the decals or obviously do it by hand. Rudder pedals are moulded in for the guys who are hip at the weekend, and that's we were discussing. Rudder pedals, you know, does anybody actually put the photo etch ones in? Anyway, little tiny bit of sink mark on top of the speed brakes here. I can see it and I can certainly feel it, but again, I don't think there's anything you go massively worried about. But you've got a little ejector pin mark. In fact, why have you only got one? You've got one ejector pin mark in one and not the other. Again, it seems to be an odd way of doing it. As you can see from the underside down here, we've got the internal detail for the actual nose wheel bay, which looks very, very nice. But generally looking around it, it's got a lovely level of detail. It's just not as sharp as you might want, but again, it's what we're saying here, it's not bad on the money front, and you've got very slight ejector pin marks in things, okay, and other things are quite heavy with it. One thing you are going to have to be very uber careful here, we've got these grub screws, you can see down here for the actual doing the flaps, they look like they're about to come off in a heartbeat, so just be careful about those, about when you remove them from the sprue. Just be a bit more sort of technical, perhaps remove them when you need them rather than anything before. Rear cockpit of the Tornado, obviously it's the IDS version. I know one of those big questions is, can you build all the other versions from this? I'll let you know in a minute when I've been through it all, but certainly we seem to be okay. Again, we've got sink marks down here, you catch them in the light. But you're not going to see those down inside it, but at least you haven't got ejector pin marks, which is quite nice. As I said, some of this fine little detail with obviously the slats and the flaps and the various things seem to be quite nice. This top detail on the actual spine looks absolutely lovely, really, really nice. Back onto the other side, you've got ejector pin marks inside the intakes, which is a bit of a pain because those you will have to deal with. Only on one side, so they're going to have to come out. But again, there we go, the Revell date. 2014, there we go, kit number 03987, Tornado 48 scale, very nice. Okay, some of the smaller little parts, so this is the ejector pin, the ejector seats, the little nose wheel, so you've got moulded in harnesses, which is quite a nice little touch, down into all of these, and then we've got obviously very fine, you can probably see these little skeletons of the actual seats themselves, but they do look nice. I think by the time they're all put together, we'll be okay with that. And then over here, this is for the actual the thrust reverser mechanism. Okay, this is the top and the spine for the main area itself. We've got two guns here, which obviously the RAF one doesn't have. I don't know about the German one, if it has guns on both sides. But again, it's personal choice. But because it's a small little fret, it may be one of those things where, as I said, other kits are coming out. Other kits and versions will be available. So centerline pylons, we've got the little, again, it's both sides. The little warning receivers up on the tail. The main pylons as well. Again, very nicely done. No ejector pin marks or anything. A little bit of flash, but that's nowhere we're worried about. So that's pretty good. The recce pod and the jammer pod, again, nice detail, recessed panel lining and everything else. As I say, only the German version carries that one. Tailplanes. Okay, this is where Hobby Boss fell horribly. And they haven't, was theirs rounded completely? It was pretty horrible on the tail, so I know you needed to sand them in. These are spot on. Absolutely lovely, all of these. Pretty good. A little bit of flash on the nose cone. The nose looks like that tornado shape. They have that sort of funny taper to them. Seems to be pretty good. Okay, a couple of other lumps and bumps down there. Definitely going to have to sand out these. Oh, I don't know, you might be alright. But it's pretty close on these ejector pin marks on the back of it, just to make a nice fit on those. So that's not too bad at all. Right, we've got a, not a match pair, not a match pair. Nope. So raised detail on the actual fuel tanks themselves. Again, nice touch. The buzz pod obviously is, or bose pod is recessed panel lining, very good. The sidewinder pylons, very nicely detailed. All the lumps and bumps seem to be pretty good. That sidewinder looks horrible though, because surely it would be the M version, or the L, sorry, the L, the Lima. No, it would be the M. Yeah, that's not. That's like a B version sidewinder. I'm sure they don't carry them. But again, I have to check my references on that. But I'm just looking down here. It's a match pair, so as you said, you're going to get two Bose pods with the fuel tank, but I can understand why they've done it, because you've got the detail, which seems to be very nice on this exhaust, the actual area up there. If I just bring the side camera in for some of these better details. Okay, you can see we've got pretty good detail on all of those, but those sidewinders are particularly not good. The rest of it's all looking very nice though. Right, now this is the parts we can sort of talk about. So, I am by no means whatsoever a tornado guy, but the only thing I do know is the slight differences between the RAF versions and other people's. And I'm sure one of them was the sort of glove area above the wing as it goes into the wing root. And obviously down here we've got targeting sensors on K. So I'm assuming, in fact I don't know that well, the German one doesn't carry, or certainly that one down there is the IDS, doesn't carry the chin mounts. These have got both of them. Although looking at it, it's quite slanted. I have to check my references, but it looks like you could probably, well, you're going to be able to do the GR1 out of this for the RAF. I don't know about the GR4, and I do believe the GR4's got a different cockpit. But again, it's only roughly, but certainly you do have both the chins, which was always the thing with other manufacturers. You had to get aftermarket ones to turn it from a GR1 British Tornado into the GR4, the current, or sort of later Tornado. But again, I think there's some differences on these the shoulder areas where the wings join the fuselage. We've seen one of these before, just another set there. Now this is the interesting point. You've got here a one-piece complete bottom fuselage, okay, and different top fuselages for the front around the cockpit. The F3 version is considerably longer to house the Skyflash missiles on the belly, okay, and it has a completely different nose because of the radar and everything else. But I'm thinking perhaps this sprue would enable you then to actually, with a choice to go to an F3 version, because if you just replace this one, you could then use all the other parts to build the Tornado, although you are going to need a different nose and things like that and a different cockpit. But certainly it gives us all the options for it. So we've got the outer pylons down here, we've got the actual engine, which you get a nice little bit of detail. These area here will be not covered on the top, so it will all open up. But generally looking down it, you can catch it in the light, you've got very nice detail running through. The refueling probe, only in the closed position unfortunately, so you're not going to be able to open that up. No internal side detail in the inside of the actual cockpit itself. But again, it all seems to be very nicely done. And again, you know, we are talking £20 for this. And again, here we've got another top for the actual, goes in the fin on the top here, which here it is here. These guys here, which we've seen another pair of them, this is one piece, goes in, so that could be another version of it. So we are assuming that it's definitely going to be the GR version, which is the British version, will be out shortly. Okay, so looking round at it, we've got the main gear just down here, which, if we're honest, isn't exactly brilliant. It's a little bit, well, basic to say the least, but I think it'll be pretty okay once you time you liven it up with some brake lines. Obviously we've got the the flaps just down there, again all in their different sections, which is quite a nice touch. And everything in, again, got the Tornado on the tail and everything else like that. So the flying fin, or the big fin, certainly seems to be getting a thumbs up at the moment. But again, you do have to, you know, no matter if it was bad, it's only 20 quid. It's cheap as chips. Bit of a problem there. Canopies come off. Right, okie dokie. Best way to do this probably on the hand trick or coming through. A little bit of wobble, but nothing you will worry about. You've got a nice, well no, scrap that. I thought it was a nice join. It's very smooth. The detail is on the inside, not on the outside, so masking it up, you're just going to have to take care. Center one's okay. You've got little, oh, there are holes in it for the mirrors to go in there, but generally seem to be okay. It's pretty thick. You don't get a center seam line. That's not a center seam line in that. That's actually the deck cord running down through the top. Okay, front one, that one is raised, so it's easy to mask up because you can put some tape in there and go around and do it. As I say, all the little lights and the various bits and pieces down here on part F, very nice, seem to be really good. So what can you say? Well, as I said, we've all been waiting a long time for this one, and obviously I haven't put it together yet. I haven't seen anybody put it together yet, and I haven't seen any other reviews on it because I've sort of done this straight away. But from what I can tell, as I said, not being a tornado expert, it does seem to be exactly what you would expect out of a tornado. I can't see any problems with it, and it's got all the parts we've always wanted. So we do have now, actually, so we can have it with the flaps all down, the thrust buckets obviously open or closed, whichever way you want to do it, and all the other parts that go with it. So certainly from looking at it from my point of view, it does seem to be pretty much spot on, no problem out of the bat. It would be nice to see the GR4 kit come along, because I'm pretty sure the cockpit on the GR4 is different to the IDS version, which is obviously the German version, but that's the only thing. But I'm sure the aftermarket guys will be on like this, like, you know, bees round a honey pot, because it's one of those sort of iconic aircraft. And obviously other versions you can come along, the Italian version, you could do that one as well, and then obviously you've got the German, and then obviously other countries from around the world, like the Saudi ones as well, particularly very nice in camo work. So I should imagine this will become the go-to kit, and then the aftermarket bits will all drop in this one. It'll be absolutely lovely. So by the time you've got the Edard photo etch set for it, and probably Aries will do a cockpit and all the usual bits and pieces, you will have a stunning tornado.